Hi, this is Ilias. You might know me as the Italian entrepreneur who moved to Costa Rica to be able to surf almost every morning, or as the surfpreneur. And actually, this is the version that I prefer. By the way, today I'm here to show you the brand compass. That is the framework that I developed through over 20 years of entrepreneurship by firstly scaling my own businesses from zero to a few millions of revenue per year, and secondly, to help other founders do the same through the Fractional Partner program that I created. So, if you're here, I guess that you are an entrepreneur or a founder seeking more growth, better margins, and possibly more time back to actually enjoy your life outside the office. And we entrepreneurs, when we end up on the internet, are constantly being told that we need more marketing, more ads, more leads, and there is the new tool that will be a revolutionary lead generation system, or that we need to apply an automated sales strategy. So there's a ton of this stuff around. And honestly, running a successful business goes far beyond whatever tactical tool you're using to reach more people, in my opinion. The truth is that you don't need necessarily more customers. Or better said, that's only one piece of the puzzle, but not the answer to everything. So the approach that I'm going to show you in the next few minutes is the same one that, as I mentioned, led me to over $4 million per year with a single brand, and even more with the other brands and the other companies that I was managing, and is also the same approach that I applied in the fractional partner program with my clients through different sectors and markets and parts of the world to help them get more revenue, better margins, and without sacrificing more of their time. But ideally, quite the opposite. And why is the time so important for me? And why I keep repeating it? Actually, myself, a few years ago, I understood that working myself into the ground wasn't going to make me really richer, and definitely wasn't even going to make me happier. So when I came to Costa Rica for the first time for vacation, I realized that out of my business, out of office, there was so much more. And it's no secret, I fell in love with Costa Rica. Today I live here. I've been living here for several years so far. My children were born here. So my life is in Costa Rica. But at that time, when I knew this country, I felt what became a mixture between a dream and an obsession to be able to move here, even by having a physical business in Italy. So, having this goal and wanting and really willing to reach it, I had to completely rethink the way I ran a company. So, the things that I learned by working as an entrepreneur from that point on kind of skyrocketed because I had a mission. I had a new mission that was not just to make more, so to work more, make more money. That could could feel like something handless, and I wouldn't say useless, but I think you understand what I'm meaning. I mean, life is not made only of business, and there's so much more. And I was starting to understand that to reach something that I really wanted, I had to behave in a different way. So the brain compass is the result of developing my knowledge, my mistakes, the things that I learned, the things that I studied from entrepreneurs who were way better and with bigger companies than mine, applying them to my own companies, adapting them to my reality, my way of thinking, my way of optimizing them in order to have a real framework that could be repeatable and that I use not only on myself, but as I said, also on the businesses that I'm consulting as a fractional partner. So this method is made of growth levers, strategic directions, and flight stages. So three parts that are going to see one by one in the next few slides. So let's start with the growth levers. We have firstly margin per transaction, purchase frequency, and unique customers. So the margin per transactions are actually what you keep from every sale after costs, discounts, time, delivery, and operational complexity. Purchase frequency, of course, is how often your customers come back to you and buy. And the unique customers are the things we were talking about before. So the number of individual customers who buy from you within a given period of time. So if we wanted to put it like that, there is a right order to work on these levers, and it should be margin, frequency, and only at the end, the unique number of customers. And most companies actually start with lever number 3, or worse, they focus almost exclusively on it. But if you improve margin first, then purchase frequency, and only then on acquiring more unique customers, you end up with more capital that you can invest in the marketing for getting new customers or in the sales process to get more customers and generating more profit every new sale you do from that point forward. Okay, so there is actually a logic of working this way. I also understand on the other side that not all the companies are the same, and there might be some that, for example, cannot increase margins from a day to another, or realistically they would lose some customers. Actually, this is not always a bad thing, because especially when you have customers who are sticked to the price thing, it could be better to leave them to your competitors. But still, I understand that it's not so easy for some companies to just make the margins better through lowering the cost of the thing or making the process of producing that thing better and stuff like that. So let's pass over. There are also business models that just cannot allow a meaningful increase of the purchase frequency. Let's think about a real estate company. You cannot just sell a new house to the same person year after year. I mean, that wouldn't be normal or the standard. But even in this kind of situations, there are a lot of tricks, we could call them, that could let you maximize this lever on the purchase frequency, or at least find other ways to still get the most of it. But if we would talk about this right now, this video would take hours and it's probably not the right moment. So there are also other companies who just can't handle more customers and without hurting the service quality, and others who just have a hard production limit for several reasons. So I get that it's not so simple to work on margins, frequency, and unique number of customers, but the question should be which lever or combination of lever should you move first to create the best possible outcome for your specific company at this specific moment. So let's pass now to the strategic directions, because you can maximize the growth levers as much as you want, but if you take the wrong direction, that won't save you from failing or from getting much less that you could and that you should probably as a business owner. So the strategic directions that you can follow are kind of simple, are up, down, sideways, broaden, narrow, or consolidate. So let's take a look at each one. Up actually means to serve customers who are willing to pay more. That means having a higher average customer value, making premium offers, high-end positioning, getting higher margins. We could say having better customers and less volume dependency. This is very important because getting more by doing less or getting the same by doing less is still a very good outcome, especially if you are been running a business for a long time. Okay, you have less waste of energy and time and everything, so it's less stressful and probably more gratifying. Second direction, going down, that means to serve customers who pay less. So just the opposite of the first one. This means creating more accessible, standardized, and scalable offers when expanding the market makes it strategic sense. Of course, without destroying the margins or weakening your positioning. Third direction is going sideways. That means to enter another market, that could be close to what you're already doing. Why close? because probably you could reuse the capabilities, the assets, the relationships, the reputation, and the distribution channels that you already have to open a new market. As I said, different but still close to what you're already doing. And to do that is not just like saying, okay, let's conquer this new market, but probably, if not always, you will need a new brand that will be like a new face to stick on your company, that on the other side will be still the same, with the same people working with the same assets, but just presenting itself in a different way to the market to be credible and to gain the trust of the prospect that you want to reach. So next direction is to broaden. So start from a niche and to get an entire category. Also here, it's a delicate passage because expanding your market can be done only when the company has the resources, a strong brand that is well known, processes, and infrastructure to be able to do that without control. On the opposite, we could narrow. That is one of the things that most small companies, even over $1 million up, but small companies tend to do when the market is already full of bigger fishes who are like playing the lead role. So when you narrow, it means to specialize in an underserved niche. And when I propose this kind of strategy to some of my clients, many times I get this kind of feedback. Okay, so you're telling me that I should renounce to a lot of people who would buy all these other products or services of the ones that I'm selling. And the answer is yes, because when you're niching down, it means that you are increasing differentiation, authority goes up, and margins go up by focusing on a more specific, recognizable, and potentially more profitable segment. And moreover, when you become the specialist of a niche, it means that probably you can even broaden your market geographically and serve more of those people interested only in that niche, but all around the world. Maybe it's not possible because of the type of business that you have right now, but still the intention and the strategy could go into that direction. So if you find yourself selling to everybody in the world interested in that single niche, probably you're serving many more people on a in a broader market, but in a small geographic region. And still, it's not only a matter of the dimension of the market, but it's mostly a matter of the way you convert people interested in the product into your paying customers. So the final direction is to consolidate. That means stay where you are, but not just stand and do nothing. On the contrary, it means to make that position to perform better. So to work on better margins, to make better process, better marketing, sales, have a better purchase frequency of your customers, more control, getting more data in order to be able to make better decisions, more delegation in a proper way, and more founder independence. So consolidation actually could be the stage to to prepare something that comes after, like one of the other directions that we just saw. So the levers we talked about before, the margin, the frequency, and the unique customers, are nothing if you don't follow the right direction, as I was saying before, because they can make you financially in a better position, but still, if you are going into a condition that cannot let you grow or even can make you fail, that won't save you from failing. Okay. On the other side, understanding the right direction and understanding how to move in it and coordinating every department of your company around it is what allows a business, regardless of the size or the industry, to scale in a healthy and sustainable way. So we go into the step 3 of my framework, that is the flight stages. So just like an airplane, a company can be taking off, cruising, climbing to a higher altitude, or prepare for a controlled landing. The takeoff, it's clearly what regards most of the startups and newborn businesses, but also applies to situations where you want to validate the offer, validate the demand, validate positioning, the price, the channel, verify the economics, and it means that you are going to need a lot of speed, a lot of testing in order to learn what really works into that market in that condition. And it's very important in this phase, try not to build a heavy infrastructure because the lighter you are, the faster you are, and the faster you are, the more you test. And the more you test, the more data you collect. And the more data you collect, the fastest you're going to understand what really works. Okay. So after this phase, there's a natural transition to the cruise stage, where the company just doesn't skyrocket anymore, the growth, but starts to decline. Okay, it's something just like normal. Even Amazon doesn't double every year. Okay, right now, but maybe at the beginning it was quite different. So when you are in cruise, the question that you ask yourself is, how do we maintain altitude without burning less fuel, while burning less fuel, sorry. So this means optimizing margins, improving the data like CRM follow-ups and referrals, and improve delegation, increase purchase frequency, lifetime value of your customers, make processes clearer, reduce the dependency on the founder, make decisions made with data that support them. So it resounds a lot like the strategic direction of the consolidation, and actually they are just the very same thing. But the difference is that this flight stage is something that comes naturally. So it's not like something I decide to do as a strategic direction for the company in order, for example, to prepare to scaling in and to making the company become something different. So this is just a situation, a condition that you find yourself into after the takeoff phase. So then we have the climb, of course, not always, but if you go into the right direction of growing your company, and in this case, what you can do is to apply any of the strategic directions that we saw before. That could be the niching, the growing geographically the market, that could be going into a broader category, repositioning, producing new stuff to sell or new service lines, having a more structured team. So all things that would make your business grow and grow and grow. So at this stage, you're not just optimizing the business, but you're looking for a higher, more defensible, and more profitable position. And then we have the most delicate stage, that is the control landing, that is just prior to the failure. I didn't put the failure as a stage because when you're failed, there's just nothing else to do. You're failed, it's finished, the game is over. But when you are in controlled landing, you are going into that direction, but still can do some things. When you get into this stage, when the world outside is just changing without your control. So that means new technology coming out, new regulations, generational change, purchasing changes, new channels, new platforms, AI, so things that you cannot control and that make the world different and can make different also the perceptions that people have on your business. This doesn't mean that you are not doing the things you were doing before in the same valuable way, but just that the perception, so the way people look at you, at your company, is not the same anymore because the context is changed. Think about, I don't know, Blockbuster when Netflix came. Of course, people stopped to progressively to rent DVDs or to buy DVDs and started to watch TV right on TV on in streaming. Okay, so that was the end of Blockbuster. Same thing with Nokia, just to make another example. When the first smartphone with Apple came out, it was just another technology, another era that started with the iPhone, and Nokia did nothing but try to copy that very same thing, but was not credible because it was Nokia and they had a big quota of the market for other stuff, for other things, and they were not credible also as a smartphone company. Okay. So what can you do when you are in a situation like Blockbuster or company or sorry or Nokia before it's too late? For example, you can gradually wind down the old brand, or you can monetize it while it still has value, or you can think about migrating customers toward a new offer and launch a brand that fits for the new environment. So in the example given, Blockbuster had the assets and the resources to create a new brand that could be maybe nowadays a competitor of Netflix. The same thing for Nokia. Maybe they could just make another brand that could be credible as a smartphone brand, but with behind all the assets, all the resources, all the knowledge, all the distribution channels, and all the things that Nokia had built in many, many years. Okay. So what you can do is to turn assets and know-how into something new and manage the transition instead of denying reality. As I often say, a company or a brand in this specific case is a little bit like a child. It is born, it grows, and eventually, as painful as that may be, it dies. And there is a Chinese saying that I like very much that recites like this: "For the seed to grow, the flower must die." That means that sometimes the most responsible and caring thing you can do as a founder is to guide the brand through its ending so that something new can rise from its ashes. So I have been investing more than 20 years into developing this approach, and most of the lessons came from mistakes I made myself, often very expensive ones, and others came from studying other companies, other businesses, other markets, and actually that constant analysis and the exchange of strategies and tactics across completely different businesses is exactly what allowed me to do today what I'm doing for other entrepreneurs and doing exactly the same things that I do for myself to scale my own businesses. So, the same approach that I use for myself and that I develop for myself is what I'm offering as a fractional partner for other companies. So just to give you a few examples of the case studies that I produced in the last years, there is this company of over 30 years age that was making 3-4% of growth per year. I mean, after all this time, it's normal not to have plus 20, plus 30, plus 50, plus 100 every year. Okay, but when I started to collaborate with them, in 9 months, we produced a plus 10% of growth in revenue in the very first year. And in the following H1, we are already at 14.5% of growth compared to the previous year. With another company in the food market that is considered like one of the in worst crisis, at least in the country where this client is, after launching the measures that I suggested to develop, we had 5 months of around 28% of growth. And in a single month, we also had a peak of 34% of growth in revenue. And the margins were absolutely untouched. So we didn't just spend more to make more, but the company is growing in a very healthy way. In another company, in this case in the healthcare sector, I analyzed all the services that they were selling, and I saw that there was one that could be kind of interesting. So we kind of reinvented this service, at least in the way it was presented. And then we built a commercial structure around it on both marketing and the sales side, and we happen to have made with this single procedure $90,000 in a single year. So this might look for you as a small amount or maybe a big amount. It doesn't matter, but still this money ended up in the bank account of this client, and otherwise it wouldn't have been so. So another interesting case This case study is of a company that works in the B2B market doing custom products and services. And for 15 years, they have been working only by word of mouth. That means that they didn't have a single marketing channel or sales channel, whatever it is. They just relied on people talking in a good way about them to others, and about doing that in the right moment, because they can handle only a very limited number of customers. Of course, we are talking about big customers, but this means also that if they happen to lose a customer, to substitute that income, it's going to be a problem, because they cannot just ask people to talk about them and to make word of mouth magically creating a new customer. Okay. So this is a situation that actually I find in many companies I work with, and in most of the times is the number one emergency that I try to intervene on. So what we did, we developed a B2B contact system, actually offline, nothing, no social media, no digital campaigns, no nothing, because we knew exactly who were the people that we wanted to contact in order to develop some relationships. And to do this testing of this new channel, we were ready to make 100 deliveries, but we ended up closing the first big customer after just 10 deliveries. So nowadays they find themselves in a situation where they don't have to stress up and being scared of losing a customer, because they have a system that through 10 deliveries, 50 deliveries, 100 deliveries might bring them a new contract to substitute that lost customer. Okay, so it's a total way of living the business and thinking about it. So it's not only about scaling it, but also about maintaining what you already have without the fear of a failure. Another company, and then I will almost shut up, ended up making plus half million in the period we worked together. So I quite bet that he's happy to have been investing in me. And in general, the case studies that I talked to you about and other customers that I have been working with definitely had the chance to have the fractional partner program pay for itself many, many, many times over. So could you apply for the fractional partner program? Yes, if your company generates at least 1 million per year or around there. I mean, I'm not so categoric, sorry. Yes, if you already have a team handling most day-to-day operations, and probably yes, but this is more your point of view, if the profit at the end of the year is not what you would expect after all the effort, all the time, all the pressure and the stress that is going in while running your business. So why do I have this kind of selection for seven-figure companies? The reason is not that I'm not able to help business owners who are under a million. And actually, I have worked and still work with some of them, because what I think and the way I do business works independently from the dimension. So the problem is not the message coming from me, but the way the message is implemented in the company. What happens is that when the company is too small, it means that the team is smaller. And when the team is smaller, to implement new things takes more time. So, time is money. And if you need many months in order to implement a single action, a single strategy, it means that the gratification for the work we have begun together needs more time, is delayed. On the other side, with companies from 1 million and over of revenue, everything is faster. So we can make things happen in a very short time, and this means a bigger and better gratification in a shorter amount of weeks, months, or whatever. And of course, this means that we can even grow much more in the very same time of what would happen with a smaller company. So this is the reason why I can just choose the way I use my time, and to do something that I actually enjoy, and to do something that gives value also to my customers. So after my takeoff phase, trying to work with different kind of companies, I understood that the best way possible for me to work as a fractional partner and to make my customers get great results was to niche down to those having a company doing at least 7 figures. Okay, so if you end up finding yourself into this kind of description, what I can offer to you is a preliminary 30-minute call where we can look at your situation and understand whether and how I might be able to help you get more from the business, not necessarily by adding more work, but ideally doing exactly the opposite. And for you to know, everything I do is backed by a money back guarantee. This is why, as an entrepreneur, I have always been used to making money only when I did my job in the best possible way. So if I wasn't working good, I ended up not getting money at the end of the month, especially many years ago. And for me, it's normal that I don't work good, I don't get money. But on the contrary, if I work good, I get the money. And in the end, the fractional partner program and everything I do is always on a win-win base. Okay, so if you win, I win too. If you don't win, I don't get my paycheck. So the preliminary call that I talked to you about exists precisely not always to protect your time and your investment, but also to protect my time, because if in the preliminary call I understand that there are not the conditions to for me to do my work in the best possible way and to really help you, instead of putting myself in a situation where I might have to refine the client, I prefer just to say no thanks and pass over. And just for the record, so far in these years working as a fractional partner, I haven't had to refund a single cent to any of my clients. So I guess that this means something. Right now, if you would like to have an external point of view from an experienced entrepreneur with capabilities and a success story, you can work only with me as a fractional partner. What do I mean? That in the future, I want to develop and to have a team of founders and entrepreneurs with interesting results obtained through their own businesses who might want to find some sort of excitement into approaching to new businesses and working with me as a team as fractional partners and exchanging ideas and level up our knowledge and being able to apply that leverage knowledge to our own company. So it's my idea of developing this kind of coaching business. But right now, in this exact moment, if you want to have a fractional partner on your side, the only person you can rely on it's me, positive or negative that could be. So this means that I cannot follow hundreds of projects every month. And talking about the onboarding, I understood that I can follow at the same time probably a couple of projects, not more, and depending on the complexity of the companies that I have to analyze. So if you want to make the preliminary call, you would be probably better do it right now, because if you will be interested to do something with me, you might have to wait some time before being actually able to start our collaboration. Okay, so if you're interested, just click the button below. If this video is on YouTube, you will find it in the description. Otherwise, you can just scroll down and find the button to book the call and schedule it. And if you need more information, you can find it on fractionalpartner.com. Attention is not .com, but .com. And I'll see you in the call. Thanks for your attention and bye.